everyone. How are we doing? How are we doing? Thank you. All right. Let's get right into it, shall we? All of that was part of the essay. I'm bad at beginnings, and I could just wing it, but I'm bad at that too. So I thought if I wrote it down in big letters to make it a bit, it would be a good icebreaker. Great audience. What's up, gang? All right. We're having a good time. We are having a good time. And that was another part of the essay, and that was another bit that I wrote down. We're already getting started on it. 2 sight gags in the first 5 minutes. What the hell was I doing? Look, this is a time capsule, actually, because I'm writing this from hour 3 of a 5-hour flight on Spirit Airlines. Just so we can start off with you knowing where my mind is at with what you're about to hear. Now, this is no hate to Spirit. In fact, thanks to the help of a 20-milligram edible I took before boarding, along with the lingering effects of various other drugs, such as my everlasting optimism, my general whimsy about life, and what can only be described as a super dose of shrooms, this flight ended up being very comfortable. I can confidently say I'm an official member of the Spirit Squad. Yeah, that's the name of people who both fly Spirit and are currently coping with being poor. When I say Spirit, you say? Oh, wow, that was great. I wrote that we didn't have a chant, but I guess we do. Let's go. I'm on my way home to visit South Carolina because Los Angeles burns me out. I hate it here. I hate it. Not because of the people. Y'all are, okay. I just didn't realize how East Coast I was until I moved here and I had to be depressed in perfect weather. You know how fucking stupid you feel laying in bed with an absolute drought of any positive thoughts, and the outside looks like every movie you've ever seen in your life? It's not natural. It's not natural for a place to look the same year-round. We lie to ourselves in the winter when we put up those Christmas lights on the trees and the buildings and shit. That does not make it feel like Christmas. The fake snow at the Grove does not make sense when it's 78 degrees outside. We're not fooling anyone. The shit still looks like August. So I'm flying back to South Carolina, a place that also burns me out. I've noticed this pattern that I can convince myself anywhere that I am is actually a problem. Sometimes I wonder if this is a dedication to discontentment, it's a sign of self-sabotage, a cry for help from a mind committed to being unhappy. But then I smoke a blunt. A couple of puffs of that, baby, and I become paranoid about 97 other less important things. Then I eat so much candy. It's a nightly routine. One that I started in South Carolina alongside being sad 23 out of the 24 hours of the day, and on the 24th hour being insecure that I talk too much about being sad. We're in hour 24, so I won't be bringing that up again. South Carolina burns me out because it just holds a lot of negative memories for me. Here's an example. I spent my childhood there, so I think that paints the picture pretty clearly. It's just hard growing up in a place where you don't feel like you belong. I grew up very Christian, something I no longer practice, and very straight, something I only practice half of the time these days. There you go. That's the part of the show where I give that paper to whoever looks most deserving. I first started questioning Christianity when I was 12, and it meant that I couldn't watch Harry Potter because it had magic in it. If you didn't know, when you grow up in this lifestyle, maybe you're not aware of this, so I'll explain. Sometimes growing up Christian means that you aren't allowed to be happy a lot of the time. You can't enjoy things that other kids get to enjoy. I couldn't watch SpongeBob for a while because he, and I quote, talked a little too gay. I'm like, let's not assume his sexuality. If it was Squidward, it'd be different. He plays a woodwind instrument. Clearly, he's a bottom. But let SpongeBob have some peace. No SpongeBob, no Harry Potter. Low-key though, and this might be a hot take, but Christianity knew something was up about J.K. Rowling before anybody else did. That was kind of Jesus' way of saying trans rights. Good for him. Good for him. Even though it wasn't my favorite place, South Carolina always gives me a sense of peace that I've realized as I get older, probably I won't get from other places in life. The fact has always made me question the meaning of home. I could have sworn I hated this place, and 2 years ago, I could have sworn that I was never gonna come back here. And believe me, I did. I so desperately wanted to leave South Carolina that I became an influencer. I was so embarrassed because for the promo for this show tonight, all of the other artists have credits from all the cool TV shows they've written on, and my credit is just a link to my Instagram, where I just made a video, and here's the first edit from the first time that we did this because things have changed, about how my most recent video was about how I really just fuck with Zohran Mamdani. Now, originally this joke was about a video I made about Peeps, but I've come a long way since the last time we did this. Peeps still go hard though. But y'all wouldn't know that from that video because it flopped when I made it. So what I just did though is the basis of my job. I just make my insecurities into jokes and I post them online so hopefully someone can say, I feel that way too. And I feel a little less alone, a little less crazy. The side effect of that though is you open yourself up to people not understanding you. People commented things like, I actually don't get it. What the hell is wrong with you? My pussy's in bio. And that last one is only said by porn bots or someone who posts a lot of pictures of their cat and refuses to accept that that word can mean anything else. You hear enough comments like that and you start to think, am I actually alone? Is there something wrong with me? Why isn't my pussy in bio? Like, these are adult words. You know, in performing and entertainment, whatever, you get used to critiquing yourself. You spend a lot of time trying to make yourself into something commercial, palatable for the masses, something that can make people more money. And you have to do that because rent is $2,000 a month, and you have too much ego to ask your parents for help again, and all the enemies from back home are preying on your downfall. So you gotta make something work. But what happens when beginning to change yourself to fit what just works starts to go wrong? What connects you to your humanity is your imperfections, and that includes the shame that you feel over them. But what happens when that gets in the way of your dreams? What happens when your anxiety gets in the way of your networking? What happens when your stutter gets in the way of your acting? What happens when you gets in the way of who you want to be? When I go home, all of that goes away. To the place that raised me, I don't have to be commercial. Before I was ashamed of how my mind worked, all it knew was how to get myself home from anywhere in the city without a map. Before I was ashamed of what I looked like, my body was just a vessel in which my friends knew me, saw me, and I felt seen. While I was hating where I grew up, it was growing me into the person that I am today. But here's where I'm confused. I still hated that shit. I would never in a million years move back there. So I started to think, what is the meaning of home? I wish I could tell you and that I would be ending this with an answer, but I won't, so don't get your hopes up. Instead, I have a thought that maybe will get us all closer to an answer one day. In 13 years, I will have spent as much time in LA as I did in South Carolina. That may seem like a long time, but I also remember thinking that I'd have life figured out by the time I turned 30 because it was so far away. And that when I'm that age, I'm gonna feel like such an adult. Now I just turned 27 and I still watch cartoons when I'm eating breakfast. I was 26 last time I did this show. Watching the cartoons has not changed. In fact, regular show just gets better with age. Time moves pretty fucking quickly. But I think to myself, if I'm still here, I'm gonna look at this place the way that I look at South Carolina. Saying to myself, I hate it here, but do I really? Or is growing up just a hard process? And it's easier to look back on it with grace than live in it with patience. Maybe what I hated was the fact that I had to learn to live, but that learning is what makes South Carolina feel like home. And maybe this is just the learning process. Maybe this year I'll learn that LA weather is kind of nice for a depressive episode. Maybe this year I'll learn 78 degrees is actually the ideal temperature for snowfall. Maybe all I need to do is give it some time. Written by Isaiah Washington, my pussy in bio. Thank you.